You are listening to On the Wire, Racing TV's Irish racing podcast.
You're very welcome along to an Aintree special of On the Wire. Not only do we have Brendan Duke back, despite the fact we've taken him away from what appears to be his first day job in a long, long time, we also have trainer extraordinaire Gordon Elliott, who has a whopping, I think, 8 runners in the Randox Grand National on Saturday. So, first of all, let me just remind you to bet responsibly. I also have to remind you that every race from Aintree is available exclusively on Racing TV. And if you're not already a Racing TV customer, look out for a special offer from Friday for new and returning customers. So check that out from Friday onwards. And not only that, Race TV is giving away $5,000 in the exclusive Grand National Sweepstake. Check out racetv.com from Friday onwards for details. Gordon, first thing that came to mind today was Silverbird. How long ago is that?
15 years ago this year, so it is. So it doesn't seem like it, but 15 years ago.
How does it work? If I remember right, you hadn't had a winner in Ireland at that time, and you won the Aintree Grand National.
That's right. Yeah, we had no winner in Ireland. I think we had 3 winners trained in the UK at the time. So it was obviously a big stepping stone to my career. But Silverbird, I just seen someone sent us a picture today. We put it up on Twitter. We've all obviously changed a bit since it, but it was a great day. It doesn't seem like 15 years ago. So
I presume you were in Aintree that day, and I presume most people didn't recognise you or didn't know who you were.
No, most people didn't know who I was. No, obviously, just another little dot in the crowd. Johnny, you know yourself.
But Juki, he's now actually somehow after all that's kind of happened in the Grand National market, all of a sudden he's training the favourite for the race after a pretty mad turn of events at Cheltenham when Delta Work beat his stablemate, the one and only Tiger Roll.
Yes, one of the races, well, not one of the races, I mean, it's a bit of a Mickey Mouse race, but one of the finishes of the meeting. I mean, it did, people were complaining that it ruined the narrative, but you would have to say it wouldn't have been much of a spectacle in terms of a competitive race if Delta Work hadn't run. I mean, it would have been just Tiger Roll coming home on his own. What a race this was. I thought the Tiger had it all the way, and here we have it here. And Delta Work just, well, of course, Delta Work's a 160 horse, so I suppose he was entitled to find it. But it was a brilliant race, one of the finishes of the week. And Gigginstown and Gordon were a credit to the game to put on a spectacle like that.
Gordon, this sounds like a Cheltenham preview night with Juki coming out with stuff like Mickey Mouse race.
I never mind Juki. Listen, he always it was a bit of fun and brings a bit of character to the whole thing. But listen, for me, it's been a very lucky race for me, and it's been a stepping stone to the Grand National for the last number of years for me, and I think it's a great race, to be honest.
Is it a stepping stone to the National in the sense that the National has changed maybe slightly or a lot, has changed a lot really in terms of the jumping spectacle? Why does it get horses kind of in the mood or show that it's a prep for Aintree, do you think?
With them older horses can switch them back on, but it's been a lucky race for me, and I like it. I think them older horses, I've been very lucky obviously with Tiger Roll for the last number of years, but and hopefully we found a good replacement in Delta Work.
The way Jack was talking after the race, it sounded like it wasn't a surprise the way he took to that course.
No, he was brilliant. Like, to be honest, when the rain came, obviously the money came for Delta. When the rain came, it went against Tiger. It would have been a fairy tale ending if Tiger had won, but it was Delta's day. The rain came, it suited him, and Delta, his previous 15 runs, I think, had been in Grade 1 company, so it was a big step down for him, and I think it's really sweetened them up, and I think the Grand National suited him on Saturday.
What do you make of his chance, Juki?
Yeah, I think he must have a right chance. I mean, I know what you're saying about Aintree not being as much of a jumping test as it was, and there's no doubt about that, but it still does seem to lend itself to specialists, that track. Whatever it is, maybe the shape the horses have to make over the fence, I don't know. So the fact that Delta Work was so adaptable in terms of the different jumping tests he faced in the cross country would give you high hopes that he will handle the fences, and if he does, he must have a right chance. Yeah, he's favoured. I can see why he's favoured. Yeah.
Let's ask his trainer then, Gordon. How has Delta Work been since he got his head back in front at Cheltenham?
Yeah, no, he's been in great order, and couldn't be happier that Jack Kennedy schooled him over fences this morning. He had a smile on his face after him. He was in the beach yesterday morning. Like, if I'm being honest, I haven't done much galloping with him since that he was pretty fit going to Cheltenham, so there's not more point in galloping him much. But he's definitely in good form. He's moving very well, and he's very happy in himself.
And did the race at Cheltenham work out kind of how you thought it might, or how you hoped it might, or did it surprise you that he beat Tiger Roll in a one?
No, it didn't surprise me when the rain came. Like, to be honest, every morning I schooled him in Cheltenham. We'd him over there probably a month before the festival school, and every morning I schooled him, I was getting more and more nervous that he was going to beat Tiger Roll. And then when the rain came, it went totally against Tiger. You know, it was look, it was great to see him win them, but if I'm being perfectly honest, my heart was with Tiger.
So how important is the ground for him on Saturday then?
It doesn't, listen, the ground is good, the soft ground. It'll be beautiful ground. It won't bother him whatsoever. And if it spills rain, it won't bother him either. I suppose just in Cheltenham, the ground really suited him over Tiger. You know, Tiger wheel spin when he came onto the main track. You know, you could see him when he came off the cross-country track, he struggled. But the ground won't bother me on Saturday with Delta. I'm not worried what way the ground is, you know. And if it did happen to spill rain, it definitely wouldn't bother me.
Were you taken by the emotion of the race after the reaction that Tiger Roll got was something you don't normally see?
I was something I've never seen before, to be honest. You know, I suppose to see two horses walking into the parade ring together was something special, and it was probably nice that Jigginstown probably owned the two horses, that you could allow the second horse walk in, because if it was a different owner, it wouldn't be fair to walk the two of them in together and, you know, take away from the winner, because at the end of the day, the winner is the winner. And, you know, Delta Work probably didn't get the credit he deserved in Cheltenham, and if he wins on the Grand National on Saturday, he definitely will.
Dukey, I think he summed it up well there.
Yeah, I couldn't disagree with any of that. So, as Gordon says, I don't know why you're listening to me anyway. I'm only on to say ridiculous things. So, moving on.
What did you make of your Cheltenham overall, Gordon? It was two winners over the course of the week, and obviously that 1-2 as well.
Yeah, I suppose disappointing for our standards, you know. With 7 seconds, you know, Ginto looked like he was going to be banged there when he unfortunately got injured. You know, Conflated was going to be second, I think, in the Ryanair. Fruit the Lane was going to be second, if not win the RSA. You know, we had a lot of seconds. We hit the crossbar. Listen, you always want more, and I'm hungrier than anyone. I always want more, but, you know, I came away with 2 winners, and I'm not going to be selfish. You know, a lot of people didn't have a winner, but yeah, I suppose I was a bit disappointed coming home and 2 winners, but that's the game we're in, as you know, lads, and it's always about the next day. So we just got to keep our head up and keep going, don't you?
Sorry, I was in contact with Noel Moran after that. Can I just console with you about the loss of Ginto, because I have to say that was a horrible memory of the Cheltenham Festival. Not so much, you know, that he was possibly going to win the race, but just how promising he was, and that must have been very tough to take.
That was heartbreaking, to be honest, you know, for Noel and Valerie and all, and Beck have stood. But, you know, they're brilliant supporters of the game, and they're sports people, so they're good winners, and they're even better losers, you know, which is very important. But you know, it was tough for me. Like, it was just probably the week we were having. We were hitting the crossbar with everything. You know, we didn't get the rub of the green at all. But look, I'm not going to sit here and feel sorry for myself. There's often days I've got the rub of the green when other people haven't, and that's the game we're in, and it turns round in circles. So, you know, we've had a lot of placed horses and second thirds over the last week or 10 days. So hopefully our luck might change this weekend.
Yeah, hopefully Noel and Valerie's will as well, with the Cheltenham winner next year and going on. Just, Gordon, if you go through your other 7 runners, One Wild Fred.
Run Wild Fred, you know, he's second in the Irish National last year, second in the National Hunt Chase this year. I'd say got bet by a very good horse. Initially, when he passed the line, I was a little bit disappointed. But then when I went back and looked through all the form, you know, he probably beat Gavin's horses Farrer and Leopardstown as he bet him in Cheltenham. You know, so maybe just the winner was good on the day. But our lad, you know, he's loads of experience and big handicaps. He's great at form. You know, probably the better the ground, the better chance he'd have, if I'm being honest, you know.
Mount Ida, who was kind of up to her old tricks of jumping a little bit out to her right at Cheltenham.
Just never got into a rhythm. We've treated her back since. She schooled very well over fences this morning. Dennis O'Regan rides her. There's a chance I might put cheek pieces on her. You know, if she got into a rhythm for the first mile of the race, you know, she'd come home strong. But the first mile of the race is the most important thing with her. And, you know, she's got a big engine, and, you know, she wouldn't be out with it if she behaves for the first mile.
Very interesting. Now, a lot of people were watching Samco valiant in defeat at Down Royal during Cheltenham. What a story if he were to win in Aintree.
It'd be just typical Samco, wouldn't it, to come back and do something like that. Look, to be honest, he probably isn't what he was, but he hasn't been easy trained. Has a lot of sinus problems, and we've worked very, very hard with our whole team at home and all the vets and feathers. He's had a few sinus operations, but like, to be honest, he's 80-1 or 66-1 in places. I wouldn't tell anyone not to have a few quid each way in him. He schooled this morning over fences. He was absolutely brilliant. And if I'm being honest, he's a smile on his face for the last few weeks. He wasn't back cantering an awful long time before down Royal after his operation, but I had to run him because he didn't qualify for the race, so he didn't finish in the first 4 in down Royal. So that's why we ran him. If I had my way, I'd have went straight to the national, but he's in good form. And if the ground doesn't get real testing and the sun is out, don't rule him out.
Jukey, you just love to hear stuff like that.
Yes. Well, I mean, we talk about this all the time, but the resilience of sports people and the optimism they need in that game. I mean, that's a very optimistic slant, but that's what keeps you getting up in the morning. So I respect that.
Sean Bowen is right, Gordon. I mean, talk about a smile in his face. There'll be some smile in your face if Sam Crowe won the national.
Yeah, look, Sam Crowe is one of the favourites in the yard, and Sean Bowen, I think he's a name you're going to hear an awful lot in England over the next couple of years. I think he's a very, very good rider. He can drop them in, he can make the run, and he's a great pair of hands on him, and he gives good feedback. I think he's a jockey we're going to hear an awful lot over the coming years, lads.
Farkla.
We've trained him for the race. We came straight here from the Tri-Town. Davy could still ride this jet. It's not definite that Davy rides Run Wild Fred. He's to make his mind up. I suppose the one negative I would have, if it did get very, very heavy, Farklas, the better ground, the better chance Farklas has, if I'm being honest. He's had a few wind operations, and I think the better the ground, the better chance he has. But ran well in the race last year, he's 5th.
Iscaria 10, who was obviously touched off by any second now, who was favourite, I think, for the national until usurped by Delta.
Yeah, Iscaria 10 is in very good form. He had a great prep the last day. He's had a good prep, and we're very happy with him. I think this race will really suit him.
Cocoa Beach.
Yeah, the softer the ground, the better chance he'd have. But he is in good form as well. But the softer the ground, the better chance he'd have.
Death Duty.
I like him. I think he's got a lovely weight in his back in 10 stone 6. Jordan Gainford rides him. He actually ran well in Cheltenham, this horse. He wasn't beating a million miles, just didn't get the run of the race. He ran well in the Paddy Power. He won the Grand National Trial. He's a dual grade 1 winner. If he got a bit of looking for the first mile of the race, he could have a big chance.
Jukey, I have to say I really enjoyed Gordon talking about the national there. I'm buzzing for the race after listening to that, because he's 8 runners, and to go back to where it all began 15 years ago with Silver Birch, the possibilities are endless.
Possibilities are endless, and actually, I mean, we say 15 years is a long time. It's not a long time to climb the greasy pole of being one of the top trainers in the land. It's a fair achievement to get from there to where he is in 15 years. So mad props. I must have a right chance of having a national winner.
Jukey, we say to ask about some of Gordon's other runners over the 3 days, because he has some absolute crackers.
Yeah, well, I mean, which one do you want to talk about? Manila Crooner, I suppose. I thought he'd nearly win the Albert Bartlett. I thought just that mistake at the second last. Whether he'd have beaten Manila Crooner, I'm not sure, but he looked like a horse who relishes the extra couple of furlongs at Cheltenham. Unfortunately, didn't get to go. He gets a step up to 3 miles on Friday in Aintree, and I thought he'd be very hard to beat. He was the standout one of Gordon's for me over the week.
Talk to us, Gordon.
He doesn't run, lads. I'm very sorry about it. I should have told you before he came on. He doesn't run. He's back cantering, but it's just coming a week too soon for me. He pulled muscles there just before Cheltenham, and it's coming too soon. And I just think it did the wrong thing to do to bring him to Aintree. So we're going to unfortunately have to leave him at home.
So he's
don't be sorry, Gordon. This is great information for anyone who's listening in, because he's currently 9-4 favourite to win the race. So there's going to be a bit of value out there for someone who listens to this show early. It's great information.
No, Johnny and Jukey both disappearing now from the rest of the Piper, obviously, Gordon. I mean, he was beaten, but you must have been delighted with the triumph otherwise.
I thought it was one of the races of the week, to be honest. 3 horses down over the last. The winner very, very good. The second horse put his head out, and Piper didn't do much wrong getting beat either. I think Aintree will suit him. Obviously, you've got Porrick Roach's horse in Brazil, looks the one to beat. Through a line of form, if you go back to Bell X1 and HMC Racehorse, or whatever he's called, Paul Nolan's horse, they were beaten a length and a half, and I think 3.5 lengths by Brazil. I'd be disappointed if our horse doesn't run. If he runs his Cheltenham form, either days he was in Cheltenham this year, he wouldn't be bang there, But you don't know coming back after Cheltenham what sort of races they've had. But he's eaten and drank and it looks great, and he probably hasn't had the busiest season. So I thought he'd take all the beating.
Eating and drinking and looks great, like many at Cheltenham. And Gordon, just come back to Cheltenham, the buzz of having people back racing again.
Unbelievable. The crowd in Cheltenham was great, and even when you're racing at the weekend in Ireland now, and going racing in England, when there's a crowd back there, it's unbelievable. It's just it'll put hairs on your neck. You know what I mean?
You did say about Conflated that he was a bit. I'm paraphrasing here. You did say he was kind of a slightly unpredictable character. There was nothing unpredictable about his performance at Cheltenham. He travelled brilliantly in the race. Fair enough, he mightn't have won or whatever, but he's goes to entry with a big chance, you'd imagine.
I think he might have been second myself, because all he do is stay. The winner was obviously going to win very, very well, but if the real Conflated turns up, he'd have a real big chance. But he is a tricky character. Like, I have to, as Dukey would say, you have to keep caution on your side with him. But he's in good form and he's well. And I actually schooled him down over a couple of hurdles this morning just to get his confidence back, and he jumps very, very well. And we're looking forward to running him. Yeah.
I think we've 3 more to ask you about. Zana here, it's fascinating step up and trip now here.
I think it'll suit him. It'd be great for Nolan Valerie, if they could finish the season off in a grade 1 with a grade 1. They've had a brilliant season. I think they've had 26 or 7 winners and 5 or 6 graded winners. But Sandy here, I think the step up and trip will suit him. He's in good form. Haven't done much with him since Cheltenham, but probably his run in the champion hurdle was a career best. So if he doesn't bounce from that, the hard race, he must have a chance.
Nearly there. 3 Stripe Life again ran an absolute blinder at Cheltenham.
He'll go for the 2.5 mile race. He deserves to win the grade 1. He's been second twice now. He's an exciting horse, and whatever he does over hurdles, I'd follow him over fences.
And does Side of Burley go?
He goes. I think obviously I'll have to speak to Frank in the morning, so it'll confirm it in the morning. But he's in good form. But Gavin's horse looks like he's going to take all the beating in that if he behaves. I thought Danny Mullins was probably one of the rides of the week for me. The ride he gave him in Cheltenham, and he's going to take all the beating.
It was a hell of a ride, Gordon, and Ruby kind of showed it afterwards, the way he kind of worked the reins afterwards to kind of keep him relatively straight. Getting away even from that to keep him straight was unbelievable. I think what he done at the top of the hill was he probably didn't get the credit he deserved for it, and to be honest, I think he rode all the jockeys to sleep in the race. The buzz is back with you anyway.
Yeah, no, listen, it's great to be back, and as you know, there's nothing I love more than having winners and going meeting all these people at the races. It's a great game we're in, and it's great to be able to get back to entry this year. What price you hang off the barriers like Paul Carby if you win the national? Unfortunately, they're not there anymore, so I'll have to get a step ladder to get up on top of them. But listen, I've been lucky enough to win the Grand National 3 times, and to win it four times, it'd be a dream come true. But I hope I've got a few more years left in my career to do it, please God. A few more years. Kevin Prendergast is hitting 90. Dukey, any questions for him before he goes?
No, I've no questions for him. The very best of luck for the week. Sure, I saw him on. I saw him on Sunday in Ferryhouse. He said hello to myself and Brian Hassett walking down the ring. Very social man. It's just, as he said, it's great to see people back racing. The sun was shining. An absolute hero, Gordon, and a credit to the game. It's not a preview night, Gordon. No, listen, lads, I enjoy doing any preview witches, and it's great to talk to you, and we look forward to talking again. Thanks a million, Gordon, and best luck the weekend. Thanks, bye-bye.
And that was Gordon Elliott. It's mad, Dukey. I think, I suppose the year he had last year, it's just giving him that hunger. It was a strange Cheltenham for him in the sense that he mentioned, I'd forgotten he that many seconds because, you were quite disparaging towards the cross-country race, but at the same time, it's not maybe it's more of a national trial now, but if you said to Gordon, you'll have one winner and you'll have a winner of the cross-country race, given his ammunition throughout the week, I doubt he would have taken that.
No, but he was honest enough to say it was a little bit of a disappointment. I mean, they all say that at the start. Willie says that off. We have one winner, what have you, and then he had 10 winners, and he said, "I'll give myself about 70%, B plus." He gave himself a B plus for 10 winners. So yeah, I think definitely Gordon under-indexed on winners, but he had some cruel luck at the meeting. But as we know, Johnny, luck is a zero-sum game, and he bounced back. You could almost hear the pep in his step when he was talking to us.
You really could.
Yeah, it was just great to hear. He's bouncing around the place, and yeah. But again, marvelous man, and sports people in general. Not like us.
Yeah, but dare I say, there was a bit of a pep in your step, despite the fact you've actually. Can you just enlighten people here? You've gotten a job. You've actually got.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I had a great run out of the old Paddy Power redundancy money. I milked that tit for a long time, but unfortunately, that has run dry. So I've had to get a job now. I haven't gone hectic. It's like maybe a 4-day week. I'm kind of thinking 3.5 day week, but maybe a 4-day week. But I'm struck by the fact that I'd so little time when I wasn't working. And now I'm under a lot of pressure. I was trying to finish my job here just before I came on to talk to you. You know, normally I'd be able to devote a whole day to the podcast, and I might get up about noon and start thinking about 2 o'clock. I was up at 9 o'clock this morning, and it worked well. I was trying to again. I was reading the Sunday papers this morning because I haven't had a chance to catch up on them.
You woke up at 9 for work, is it?
I woke up at 9. Yeah. Well, I had to have my breakfast and read the papers. I started about 10, but I was working until you rang me there. I was trying to. I've got this thing with Adobe Pro. Are you familiar with this?
Yeah.
No, it's like it's.
Yeah, if you have been affected by the stories that Juki has told, or Anthony said, obviously contact us, and we look after you. We probably have a hotline for people who have to go to work and get up at 9 in the morning. Although all joking aside, I have to say, Juki, like I haven't worked a day job in so long. I don't know what it would be like.
It's a savage adjustment. It's a savage adjustment.
Looks like it's working out okay for you though. Let's get back to the issue at hand. Juki's in good form. Gordon is in good form. I think the way he spoke about his 8 runners in the national there, and obviously he's lively candidates for the rest of the week. Juki, the national itself, what do you make of it this year? It looks very open, very, very strong Irish contenders, and some other remarkable stories in the race as well. The mare, whose name I've briefly forgotten, who's been well back to win the race with an amazing backstory as well. What do you make of the race?
Oh, Snow Leopardess, yeah. What do I make of the race? Well, I'm reminded of the fact that I think we did one of these last year. You've never backed the winner of the Grand National, is that right?
I backed Hedgehunter the year before he won the race. When David Casey rode him, he was ridden a little bit too forward compared to the following year. And he fell at the last. He wasn't going to win, to be fair, but he was going to be thereabouts. No, I don't think I've ever backed the winner of the race. But I don't know. Actually, in fairness, this year, Any Second Now was very unlucky in the race last year. Obviously, the whole Delta work back class coming into the race. And I quite like Longhouse Pole as well. I think on his yesterday's form, I think the longer he goes, the better he'll be. Martin Brassel, number 6 Valverde, plenty of backstories in the race. But more importantly, Juki, what do you like?
Well, I mean, I can't disagree with anything you've said there, and you could probably mention 20 horses, and I give them a chance. The one I came down on for a very small bet would be Farclap. Gordon mentioned he'd laid him out for the race. Like, I love this angle of waiting 4 years for a Triumph Hurdle winner to win the Grand National. I think that's a real thing we could look into. But I mean, this horse has had its problems, and it was interesting. Gordon was saying about if the ground went heavy, because I mean, we don't know what's going to happen with the ground, but hopefully that won't happen. But I was just looking back through his form. So he disappeared for about 18 months, and he came back in November 2020 in a 2.5 mile chase on heavy ground in Punchestown. Wait a here, I forgot. Maybe you remember this race. This is unbelievable form. Daily Tiger won from Tornado Flyer, Castlebawn West, Dunvegan, and Farclap. Yeah, so I mean, he was only beaten 12 lengths there on bad ground after an 18-month layoff. Then he goes and runs 3rd in the Paddy Power, 4th in another competitive handicap chase, 2nd in a handicap chase at the Cheltenham Festival, 5th in the National last year, travelled really well, just got a bit tired. He was only 7. I wouldn't think many 7-year-olds have won the national. I don't actually know, but I wouldn't think many have run, in fairness.
Yeah.
Then he was travelling and jumping great in the Kerry National. The only mistake he made was at the third last, and unfortunately he came down. And then he was second to Run Wild Fred in the Troytown. I mean, now you could argue the common theme running through all of these runs since his comeback. Yeah, he hasn't won, and he is £6 higher than he was last year. But he's a year older. He did seem to enjoy the test last year, and he's 25 to 1. I think there's worse each way bets.
And just a reminder, Racing TV is giving away £5,000 in the Grand National Sweepstake, and check out the website for details from Friday onwards. One word, Juki, is it absurd that Tiger Roll is not running in the National?
Yeah, my sympathies would slightly lie with the handicapper in terms of what do you do with that horse? Like last year, he looked like he was gone at the game. Then he comes back and puts up his most impressive performance of almost of any of his Cheltenham wins, certainly of his cross-country wins last year when he dotted up. And this year does nothing again, comes back, runs a massive race against Delta Work. So, I mean, given how much he enjoys the Aintree fences, it'd be hard enough for the handicapper to put him in on something low to mid 150s, wouldn't it? I have a degree of sympathy with the handicapper.
I know Michael O'Leary hasn't been everyone's cup of tea in racing or in business, but I think he's been brilliant for racing. I just think he's brilliant for racing. I've been a massive fan of the Jigginstown, but this is obstinate nonsense. I think it's absolute nonsense what they've done with not running this horse in the race. But having said that, maybe they'll win it with Delta Work, and that's fair enough. But it would be nice if the Tiger were there, Juki.
It would be nice if the Tiger was there, but you can't have everything. Michael O'Leary has been brilliant for Irish holidaymakers, has been brilliant for Irish racing, and you can't just say, oh, well, I like this one bit of him, I don't like this bit. That's the way he is. That's the way he is, warts and all, and another absolute hero of the man. He should be running the country, IMO.
Yeah, so Juki's mentioned Michael O'Leary potentially run the country, and I think communism as well before we went on air, because as you said, people are just being basically paid to do nothing for the last 2 years, which wouldn't necessarily disappear. It is time though for our three selections from Aintree, starting with yours, Juki, and we are commencing here on the Thursday. It looks like you're frantically looking around to remember what you actually selected here.
Well, I concentrated on the Thursday for the reason that I knew the horses were declared, although there is this query about the weather. And the one horse I decided I'll take a chance on was Manila Crooner. And now we know he's not running. So I only actually have two for you. They both run on Thursday. So the 4:05 is the Foxhunters over the big fences on Thursday. And this Latenightpass was second last year. Very lightly raced horse. I just thought a repeat of this run, he has to go close. And the main reason I want to have a bet in this race is Jet is 3-1 favourite. Now, as you
don't
know,
like the
Johnny,
Jet?
Well, as you know, like you saw him in Ireland, he was never an absolute warrior of the turf. And we do have to respect the Galloping Dentist's formidable record on this course.
What about the trip, though? This is surely his trip.
Well, all I know is I watched him in Fontwell, and he basically turned around and talked to Sam Whaley-Cohen rather than go and win the race. He's a complete jade, and I'll be shocked if he wins. So I want to take him on. I thought Latenightpass was the obvious one to take him on with.
Absolutely beautiful. Your second selection.
The Mayor's Bumper, nice handy race for you. All these unexposed horses and difficult to pull the form together, but I was very taken with that Gavin Cromwell mare. Yeah, although we have her here on video. I mean, look at this. She was 6-1. She wasn't particularly fancied, but just came there pulling a roller. Lovely way of going. Has a bit of a knee action now. I wouldn't mind if there was rain, but it was decent ground up there, so she can obviously cope with that. At around 9-1, I thought she could just take a chance on her. She looks a real promising mare.
No, Ella, I'm not sure. I'm involved in a horse by Yates with Gavin Cromwell, and that day, not only did Ella by Yates win the bumper, but of course Florian Porter had won the Stairs Hurdle. I thought it was an omen, probably turned out to be a load of nonsense, but anyway, we'll see what happens. It's time for my three selections, Yuki.
Oh, great. I'm looking forward to them.
And I will start with Brazil on Thursday, and obviously we're going to see the VT of Brazil overcoming incredible hard luck. Juki, here's one for you, right? If Brazil had been beating a short head here, presumably he wouldn't have been given the race, even though he was by far the moral winner, considering the antics of the second horse at that hurdle pass in the stands.
Yes, I think basically what goes on in the air, it's like international waters when it comes to the stewards. You can do whatever you like jumping the fence and they won't throw you out. So I presume he wouldn't have got it. And he was also interfered with early in the race, if memory serves me right.
Yeah, he was badly and of course, as a former joint or co-owner of Operation Houdini, who was thrown out of the Cork National for interference at the second last. I know that's actually not true, but maybe you'll be right today. In fairness, yes, we have forgotten about that, even though it was about 15 years ago. But to be fair, Juki, Gordon actually, interestingly enough, said that Brazil is a horse to beat. He's not priced like that in the market.
No, I mean, I can see why. I was having a look at this, and then when I saw evens and 2-1, you're thinking, should they be a bit close together? I mean, Pied Piper was a better horse on the flat. Admittedly, he had more chances than Brazil. Brazil's put up a big performance given the mark he had to win a handicap and the horse he's beaten. And as you say, haven't been interfered with twice in the race, but it was still a handicap. Pied Piper probably went really close in what will work out to be a high quality renewal of the Triumph Hurdle. So I didn't necessarily think the prices were wrong.
Fair. My second selection is the gorgeous brother to Duvan, that is John Bon, who's obviously doesn't have his stablemate, who's to his left here to worry about when he takes his chance. He might have a Willie Mullins, a very unexposed Willie Mullins horse to worry about. They went a seriously hot pace here. I'm slightly dubious about this form to an extent. How good is Constitution Hill? But at the same time, John Bon showed a good attitude and he battles on very well. What did you make of the Supreme, actually, Juki?
No, it was an absolutely stunning performance. I mean, I was very much looking forward to Constitution Hill beforehand. I know what you're saying. He got the perfect setup to put up a monster performance. But sure, I mean, Gordon's horse, whose name escapes me, a very talented horse, one of the one over Christmas, was unlucky in the Royal Bond. He couldn't even lie up with them. He's a talented horse, and he just couldn't get into the race. And all you see is Constitution Hill tanking in behind.
Mighty Potter, sorry.
Oh, Mighty Potter, sorry. Yeah. He's an energy. Constitution Hill, he loves saving energy. And I mean, he's a child's pony. You saw the video of Barry Garrity's children riding him. He's a very hard horse to get motivated at home, but he's a stone cold killer on the track.
Who wins, him or Honeysuckle at Punchestown if they chase each other?
If they ran, I'd say Constitution Hill and Murder.
Bring it on, and bring on my third selection as well, which I have to remind myself of here, is Longhouse Poet in the National. As I said, Martin Brassel, bit of back form this race. This is him landing a bit of a gamble in the Thyestes, and disappointing over hurdles the last time. That's a small concern. I think this horse wants a long trip, though. I think another Yates horse actually just wants a trip. What do you make of his chance, Juki?
Yeah, no, I'd forgotten about that because he was quite well backed in Navan in that hurdle race, wasn't he?
He was one of our favourites.
Yeah. So that was quite interesting. I'd forgotten about that, but probably not a big deal. Unexposed horse, well fancied for the Thyestes, although interestingly went weak on the show, but always a trial that you have to keep an eye on in terms of a national trial, trained by an uber shrewd operator. I can't put you off him, but as I said to you, you could name 20 horses. I couldn't even put you off Snow Leopardess.
And what a story that would be. I really want to thank Gordon Elliott for coming on at very late notice. Juki for somehow getting away from his day job, literally, to come on. I was in the doctor's getting stitches out from a broken ankle that should have been done about a month ago. Frantically getting, restless that I get here. We got there in the end, Juki.
Oh, well done. I knew you'd been to the doctor. Do they not have those paper stitching now that dissolve, that they don't have to take them out anymore? Have I made that up?
Evidently not. Well, they didn't for me anyway. But it's probably a bit of life advice, really. Don't break your ankle, and especially don't break your ankle on a night out, because it can kind of derail you for a while. It's great to have you back, Juki.
Oh, thanks very much, Johnny. Yeah, I'm glad to be back. I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, just give me a call if I'm available. I'll try to show up, but I'm a working man now, you know. There's only so many hours in the day. Yeah.
It sounds like you're talking to your boss there. Just give me a call, see if I might show up. Maybe 3-day week, maybe 2 next week to read the Sunday papers. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing is, you don't want to drive your ponies into the ground at the same time. As employers are finding out, there's a global staffing crisis, Johnny, which may be one of the reasons why I got a job. So every cloud and all that.
Yeah, I get the feeling Dukey be more of a John Ox type of horse than a John Ryan type of horse in terms of campaigning. But we shall find out more, because we have to get Dukey back in the show. Thanks a million for watching, and thanks again to Gordon. Please bet responsibly, and do check out Friday offers for returning customers and new customers to Racing TV. Talk to you soon.
You are listening to On the Wire, Racing TV's Irish racing podcast.